The e-commerce world is collapsing. Taxes. We all have to pay taxes now. There's no escape. Why do I say you can't escape? Because your platform's data is directly linked to the tax bureau. Today, many people receive text messages, didn't they? It tells you exactly how much tax you owe and reminds you to pay it. Hey, these days, when you call the tax bureau to ask what to do, they can't even help you. Today, tax bureaus are overcrowded with e-commerce sellers. Text messages are being sent out everywhere, urging you to file. If you don't, you might think it doesn't concern you, but once you get the message, you start panicking and get nervous.
这个税是不可能不交的。
There's no way around paying this tax. Have you received the text? I have. There's no way to avoid it. If you underreport or miss anything, you'll face fines and late fees. Now, the data is directly connected to the tax bureau. If you underreport, you'll get a message, so it's necessary to pay. Who knows how many companies will go bankrupt? From October 26th to the 27th, e-commerce businesses across China received similar text messages from the tax bureau stating, "Your reported sales income is lower than the amount reported by the internet platform. Please correct it promptly or you will incur late fees." What seemed like a routine notice was like a bombshell, making many e-commerce sellers feel like the sky was falling. The reason is said to be that starting from October 1st, all platforms must submit quarterly data on merchants' transactions and sales to the tax bureau. After the tax bureau received the data and calculated it, the discrepancy with what e-commerce sellers had reported was huge, leading to the issuance of text messages to prompt payments. It's important to note that e-commerce sellers in China, already struggling with intense price wars and minimal profits, now face taxes as high as 13%. This feels like instant bankruptcy for many. Countless businesses are now saying, it's really over. This is deadly.
这一次电商的税改很大程度上会成为压死骆驼的最后一根稻草。
This e-commerce tax may very well be the last straw that breaks a camel's back. E-commerce profits are already razor thin, especially for those with large sales, the hundreds of millions. Will they now become regular taxpayers and face a 13% tax rate? It's important to note that most businesses that can reach such large sales often have net profits under 10%. In the end, those 10% profits aren't enough to cover the tax. The more they work, the more they lose.
电商迎来了有史以来最惨烈的倒闭。
E-commerce is facing the most severe wave of bankruptcies in history. If my estimate is correct, by the end of this year, at least 80% of the live streaming e-commerce sellers will either close down or be on the verge of closing.
15年的服装电商生涯
My 15 years in the apparel e-commerce business officially ended tonight. For those still on the road, I wish you all the best. I'm signing off now. Good luck.
留给国内电商老板的时间不多了。
Time is running out for domestic e-commerce bosses. The tax checks are likely to shut down a large number of businesses. Today, e-commerce owners across the country received a text message instructing them to conduct a self-assessment. If you haven't sensed any signals yet, your perception is a bit slow. The implementation of e-commerce taxes, combined with the signals from the recent 15th Five-Year Plan and the 20th Central Committee's 4th plenary session, marks the real end of the golden age for domestic e-commerce. Some e-commerce sellers have massive sales, but their profit margins are 1 to 2%, or even at a loss while driving traffic. What's worse, many e-commerce sellers try to save money by not having factories issue invoices. Instead, they ship goods under individual names, not as a company. This means the invoices can't be used, and all the transaction volumes are considered profits. Now, as regular taxpayers, they're required to pay 13% tax, and in some cases, additional taxes like value-added tax and income tax. It's a huge loss for them. On Douyin, there's so many videos now where accounting firms that used to handle bookkeeping have suddenly become experts in e-commerce tax compliance. But the truth is, they don't even know what the back-end system looks like.
我这边这个一个月流水1000万。
I have a transaction volume of 10 million. As a regular taxpayer, what should I do? What is your profit? 2%. Which platform? Pinduoduo. What about invoices? Do you have any now? Almost none. Also, how can I stay compliant with this situation? Let's talk about the present situation first, because anything else is just pointless. You're a regular taxpayer and don't have any input tax, so you need to pay a 13% tax. For a transaction volume of 10 million, that's 1.3 million a month. And what's your profit? 2%, right? 200,000? So, how do you pay the 1.3 million tax? You issue an invoice in the morning, and they ask you to add 6%. You're losing money like crazy. The accountant's final advice was to shut down the store immediately, or the more he sells, the more he loses. Similar stories are happening everywhere. Additionally, the Tax Bureau is also reviewing previous year's accounts. After the audit, businesses have to pay a large amount of back taxes, which has devastated some e-commerce businesses. For example, a client of this accountant said,
老板接到税务彻查通知之后问我
After receiving the tax notice, the business owner asked me, if I can't pay the tax, will I go to jail? If that's the case, I might as well run away. This is a harsh reality. This e-commerce business, a regular taxpayer, was audited for 3 years, 2022 to 2024, with total sales of 200 million. After calculating the value-added tax, with no input tax at all, they need to pay over 13.8 million in back taxes, plus an additional 830,000 in surcharge, 2.5 million in income tax, and that's without considering late fees. Just the taxes alone amount to 17.13 million. The total tax burden is 10%. How could they possibly afford to pay? This company deals in low-cost goods, but its profit margin is under 3%. And to control costs, most of the courier services and supply chain businesses can't get invoices. In this tax audit storm, those businesses that use tactics like buying fake reviews to boost platform rankings or falsifying sales figures, operating in the gray area, have been exposed. All transaction volumes are taxed at the 13% rate for value-added tax. If you admit to buying fake reviews, the platform will immediately fine you. If you deny it, you'll have to pay the taxes. This is really a bitter pill to swallow, with no way to express the pain.
So, the money you've worked so hard to earn is for the Tax Bureau? Because the Tax Bureau has already intervened. Every bit of your income is being tracked by the platform. In the past, many business owners thought, I don't issue invoices and I don't take them, so the Tax Bureau won't know how much I make, right? But my friend, that thinking is outdated now. With the new national regulations in place, all platforms, whether it's Taobao, Pinduoduo, Douyin, or even cross-border e-commerce, must report your store's name and sales every quarter to the Tax Bureau. Platforms can't afford not to report. If they don't, they'll be fined tens of thousands. So our income is now fully transparent to the Tax Bureau. In the past, you could hide your earnings, but now every move you make is being watched closely.
Yiwu, a major e-commerce hub, is at the epicenter of this storm, especially for those small business owners who have been working in basements for years, making minimal profits through price advantages. This tax audit has completely shut down their businesses.
Yiwu 地下室抽老鼠们。
The underground rat businesses in Yiwu, time to pay your taxes, right? You were making 2, 3, or even 10 cents, right? You were fighting price wars with me. You're done now. You're really done for. Still playing? Try to keep going. Even those who are recycling leftover goods and doing stock business can't keep going now.
今年的生意彻底完蛋了。
This year's business is completely finished. Those who open stores say there's no business, making just a few dozen yuan a day, right? E-commerce sellers say they can't even make money and are losing. Even we, who deal with stock, are stuck. These stock products should have an advantage in pricing, but now even stock can't sell. Look at the warehouse. It's full of goods, stacked up so high. There's no room left. There are a few more warehouses outside, all packed with goods.
大家来看一下，这就是义乌。
Let's take a look at the current state of Yiwu stock market. It's a little after 5 p.m. There aren't many people around. It's not mealtime, and the temperature isn't high, so there's no objective reason for fewer out-of-town customers to visit the market. Up ahead, you can see some storefronts and product displays. If you follow the camera, you'll see the products are very complete. Many items you wouldn't expect, and some you've never seen before, are all here. Now, I'm going to speak some hard truths. In the past, this market would have a large number of out-of-town customers coming to select goods, but in recent years, the number of customers has dropped significantly. There are hardly any people on the streets. Due to some well-known reasons, the overall environment is not good now. Yiwu's North Jiazhu city has gone from being crowded with people to becoming a ghost town.
当年北下州这里是人山人海，我站的那个位置就是跟夜市一样的。
Back then, North Xiazhu here was packed with people. The spot I'm standing in right now was just as crowded. My old company was on the second floor, above that big walkway. Now, North Xiaozu has barely any people left. It used to be crowded. Really, the change is huge. In just a year or two, look at it now. It's so quiet. It's mostly just cars here and nothing else. Businesses are closing down, and it's very desolate. Also, this place used to be busy with late-night snacks, but now that's almost gone. This area used to have food stalls set up for late-night dining, But now it's all gone. Everywhere you look, there's packaging, and it's empty, so desolate. Actually, this tax audit storm has hit more than just the e-commerce industry. Platforms like Douyin, content creators, live streaming sellers, restaurants, ride-sharing services, and even delivery drivers have all fallen victim to the tax bureau's scrutiny. Let's take a look at the food delivery businesses, which are another major casualty of this tax audit storm. Food delivery platforms have issued tax notices. You've probably all seen them. Starting in October, the platforms will submit our sales data to the national tax system. This applies whether we're a big business or a small restaurant, whether we're doing dine-in or online sales. It all gets reported to the tax bureau, especially for food delivery businesses, where the profit per order from platforms like Meituan, Elle.me, Pinduoduo, and Taobao flash sales is just 1 or 2 yuan. These tiny profits are now being watched by these experts. I don't know which expert came up with such a great policy. They're grabbing every single yuan. Will delivery riders be the next target? They work day and night running deliveries, earning just a few yuan per order. If they're running a lot of deliveries, shouldn't they pay taxes too? This is really squeezing the working class to the extreme.
How should food delivery businesses pay taxes? Yesterday, one of my stores received a text message from the tax bureau. It said that my third quarter reported sales were lower than the amount reported by the platform to the tax bureau. I was asked to correct it promptly or I would incur late fees. Since I couldn't find the exact amount submitted by the delivery platform in the electronic tax bureau, I found out that Elle.me had reported sales of 549,854 yuan for July, August, and September. But my actual receipt was only 300,600 yuan. Meituan reported 244,788 yuan, but my actual receipt was only 177,253 yuan. The total reported by the platforms was over 794,600 yuan, but my actual receipts were only 477,853 yuan. So that's a difference of over 310,000 yuan. This not only means I need to pay an additional 3,000 yuan in value-added tax, but I also need to provide invoices for this 310,000 yuan in expenses. Otherwise, this 310,000 yuan will be considered my profit, and I'll need to pay personal income tax on it. I called the platform's customer service to ask how they calculated the amount reported to the tax bureau. The customer service replied that it wasn't based on the actual amount received by the merchant, nor the product price, and not even the customer's payment. They didn't know exactly how it was calculated.
This discrepancy between the platform's reported data and actual sales, combined with the huge subsidies that major food delivery platforms spend on promotions to gain market share, has made the business data complicated, making it hard for food delivery businesses to cope with. For example, with a takeout order, the platform shows 36 yuan, 35 yuan for product, and 1 yuan for packaging. After subsidies for both the platform and the merchant, the customer only pays 11.8 yuan. The merchant, after deductions for commission and delivery fees, only receives 10.32 yuan, with a profit of just 1 or 2 yuan. If the merchant has to report the 36 yuan based on the platform's data, they would lose big. The restaurant industry is already struggling in the context of declining consumer spending. Now, with this tax audit storm, it's likely to lead to another wave of closures.
If
the tax situation becomes this strict, a large number of restaurants will collapse. This will basically be the last straw that breaks the camel's back. I believe that today, many restaurant owners have already received this notification from the tax bureau. It says your reported sales are lower than the amount sent by the platform to the tax bureau, and you need to report by October 27th. If you miss the deadline, you'll need to pay late fees. In October 2025, a large number of restaurants will shut down. Just look at this street. As someone who's been in the restaurant business for many years, I really feel heartbroken. Ride-sharing services, couriers, and food delivery drivers are also not spared. New regulations for ride-sharing. Starting October 1st, ride-share drivers have to pay taxes. If you earn over 8,000 yuan, you have to pay taxes. Given the current situation, I don't think I need to pay taxes. Without orders, how can I pay taxes? The tax deductions for the riders are even worse.
提现1800，扣税
I withdrew 1,800 yuan, and they deducted 41 yuan in taxes. Are they harassing the riders as if they are the Japanese enemy?
提现5400多，居然扣税扣了我927。
I withdrew over 5,400 yuan, and they deducted 927 yuan in taxes. Do you know how much that hurts? It's really painful.
天塌了，天塌了，兄弟们！
The sky is falling, bros. After waiting so long, we didn't get the 5 social insurances and the housing fund, but we got taxed on personal income. According to Meituan, starting October 1st, they will start taxing us riders.
A rider said, before we looked at who made the most money, but now we look at who gets taxed the most. This money is earned by riders who risk their lives. Now the government is taking it away. On the surface, this tax audit storm is dressed in a cloak of combating internal competition. The official narrative is that e-commerce's low-price competition disrupts the market. The new tax regulations aim to regulate the industry, curb harmful price wars, and help businesses return to healthy development. But we all know the truth. The real purpose of the audit is that the Chinese Communist Party is facing financial pressure and urgently needs to squeeze the lower classes to fill the national treasuries whole. In 2025, China's economy is under multiple pressures: a real estate collapse, declining exports, and rising local government debt. Although the central government's finances are large, local tax revenues have sharply decreased, leading the national tax system not only to hunt tigers, target high-level corruption, but also fishing for shrimp, targeting small businesses. Why now? Because the traditional tax base has dried up. Now economies like e-commerce and food delivery are becoming the main consumer market. Facing this juicy target, the CCP authorities aren't about to let it slip away. Now, with direct data connections through platforms, it's easier to harvest. For them, it's like a shiny money tree. However, this policy is essentially a short-sighted move akin to draining the pond to catch the fish. The e-commerce industry was already struggling with razor-thin profits. With the added heavy tax burden, it will only accelerate the collapse and decay of the entire ecosystem.
咱也不知道哪个大聪明哪个专家想起来了。
I don't know which genius or expert came up with the idea to implement the e-commerce tax. If they had done it a few years ago, maybe it would have worked. But look at who's making money in e-commerce now. If you're not losing money, you're doing well. When the tax bureau comes to audit my company, after going through my transaction volume and costs, they might end up helping me with poverty alleviation, rather than collecting money from me. A deeper problem lies in the systemic exploitation. This blogger also criticizes.
有个问题我始终都想不明白，我们是一个
There's a question I've never understood. We're a huge population. Shouldn't the technology you research be about ensuring everyone has a job? But now, look at the things you're researching. They are making us lose our jobs. They're stealing the people's livelihoods. Thus, while this absurd tax audit storm might seem like a boost to the national treasury, it's actually causing a chain reaction of disasters. Businesses are collapsing in droves. A wave of unemployment is coming. Consumer demand is further shrinking. Deflation pressures are increasing rapidly, and the economy is sinking deeper into a mire, making life even harder for the people, plunging them further into suffering.